Okay. World peace and prosperity for all people and all nations. Our next presenter, Yusif Barakat, is talking on the sanctity of life, decadence, and the new think. He's a visionary who sees humanity as all one people, one race, the human race. And his mission is to put an end to the scourge of wars and secure the preservation of nature and Mother Earth. A very worthy cause. So let's give a round of applause. Welcome.
Salam alaikum. Peace be amongst you. I'm reminded of the story of a new priest that just graduated from seminary, and he was assigned his first church in the boondocks of Nebraska. And he prepared a sermon, spent weeks, like I've spent weeks on this speech. He prepared a sermon and got up on that pulpit and was so excited about his first sermon. And lo and behold, there was only one person in the audience. So he came down, he said, "Sir, you're the only one in the audience, and this is my first sermon, and I have a nice sermon prepared. What should I do, sir?" He said, "Well, son, I'm just an old farmer, and I don't know much, but I do know that when I go out to feed the cows, and only one cow shows up, I feed it anyway." He said, "Oh, thank you, sir." He got back up on that pulpit and he preached, and his sermon sweat down his brow. An hour later, he went back down. He said, "Well, how did I do, sir?" He said, "Well, son, I'm just an old farmer and I don't know much. But I do know that when I go out and feed the cows and only one cow shows up, I feed it anyway, but I don't give it the whole dang bale." So I have a whole dang bale to feed you, and I hope I can do it in 30 minutes. I want to challenge your mind. I want to help you think outside your comfort zone. I know I'm preaching to the audience. I'm preaching to the choir, as it said. But I think that I'm going to introduce a few thoughts that may penetrate and be useful for you. You can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. How many know who said that? Einstein. We are here in sacred space. This land we are on now is Native American soil. It's like me from Palestine. They occupied my home and my land. So I equate my feelings about the First Nation people. So in honor of the First Nation people, I want to do a ritual with you, calling in the 6 directions. What we'll do is we'll start by facing the north, and I will speak some words. It's interesting to focus on the words because you can even close your eyes, because the words is the impactful meaning. The whole concept of this is a pagan ritual that always revered Mother Earth and nature more than deity outside. So once I speak the words to the north, I'll say aho, and you all repeat after me, aho, which is native for amen. Then we'll face the east, and the same thing, the south, the west, and then at the 5th direction, you face me again. So let's start by facing north. And north is this way.
Okay.
Great Spirit of love, come to me with the power of the north. Make me courageous when the cold winds of life fall upon me. Give me strength and endurance for everything that is harsh, everything that hurts, everything that makes me squint. Help me to walk through life ready to take what comes from the north. Aho.
Aho.
Great Spirit of the East, light of the rising sun, let there be light on the path I walk. Let me remember every day that you give the gift of a new day, and never let me be burdened with sorrow by not starting over. Aho.
Aho.
Great Spirit of creation, send me warm and soothing winds from the south to comfort and caress me when I'm tired and cold. Unfold me as your gentle breezes unfold the leaves on the trees. And as you give to all the earth your warm moving winds, give to me warmth so that I may grow close to you. Aho.
Aho.
Great Spirit of life, I face the west, the direction of sundown. Let me remember every day that the moment will come when my sun will go down. Never let me forget that I must fade into you. Give me great sky, give me beautiful color for setting. So when it is time to meet you, I come with glory. Aho.
Aho.
We bow in homage to the earth. Giver of all life, I pray to you from the earth. Help me to remember as I touch the earth that I'm little and need your pity. Help me to be thankful for the gifts of the earth and never to walk hurtfully upon the world. Bless me with eyes to love what comes from Mother Earth and teach me how well to use your gifts. Aho.
Aho.
Great Spirit of the heavens, lift me up to you so that my heart may worship you and come to you in glory. Hold in my memory that you are my creator, greater than I, eager for my good life. Let everything that is in the world lift my mind and my heart to you, so that I may come to you always in truth and in heart. Aho.
Aho.
There is a seventh direction. It's going within. It's feeling the energy from the universe through our bodies into our chakras and back into earth, the cycle of life. For this seventh direction, I want you to go within. I want you to close your eyes, put your hands out in front of you, and just focus and concentrate on being settled and secure. Now put your arms up. Hug yourself and hold hands. The first position was the me, the alone, the separate, the independent. This position is the we, the together, the connected, the belonging. It takes an adjustment from me to we and we to me, as you can see. Me and we, like men and women, are two sides of the same coin. One does not exist without the other. O birther, father, mother of the cosmos, you create all that moves in light. Focus your light within me and within us, and make it peaceful and useful. Teach your children that the earth is our mother. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth. This we know, the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. This we know, that all things are connected, like the lifeblood which unites one family. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth. We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. Amen. Please be seated. We are all second-hand people. Everything we know comes to us from somebody else. And we believe it so much that we're willing to kill and die for it. Witness volunteering for wars. So I want to scramble your mind. I want you to think about an example at how we are indoctrinated in our own culture and how we believe what we are told because it's all we know. I want you to imagine that you were born an identical twin. And at the time of your birth, your twin was wrapped up and taken to China. And now, here and today, at this time and place, you come together face to face with your twin. What do you see? Who's right and who's wrong? After all, it's totally different cultures. And then I challenge you to think, what if you were the one that was taken to China? And you'd be here today. You wouldn't be thinking what you're thinking. You wouldn't be saying what you're saying. You'd have a totally different agenda. So you see, our cultures impact who we are. And we need to come away from that and begin to think a new think. My topic today is sanctity of life, decadence, and the new think. All of life is sacred. The animals and the trees. All of life is sacred. The mountains and the seas. The sanctity of life means we need to stop killing. We need to hold on to all that is sacred in life. We don't create life. We should not destroy it. The most important sign of decay in decadence is that profits are more important than people. The second sign of decay is that we live in a war culture. We actually glorify wars. We glorify service to wars. We claim that we're right in waging these wars, but that's not so. As I showed you in the twin story, we create this consciousness that we continue to have wars. Einstein also said, not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything can be counted counts. What do we count? We mostly count money. Money is an absurd and obsolete measure of worth. What are you worth? How much? Come on. I don't care if it's millions. Can you put 3 million on it? 20 million? Other signs of decay is that we count many things that don't count, and we don't count what really counts, such as love, caring, and compassion. We allow deception in advertising. We allow deception in advertising. You say, well, it has nothing to do with me. Of course it does. We're the creators. We create the environment we live in. We allow deception in advertising. We advertise and promote alcohol, drugs, gambling. The stock market is a global gambling house.
It's true.
Uber is now worth $600 billion. within 10 years. Amazon is worth $1 trillion. We promote violence in entertainment. Is that greed and avarice? How absurd is all that? The U.S. has more guns and than people. We wage war more than any other country. The U.S. has more military and nuclear weapons than all the other countries combined. All weapons, civil and military, should have WIN numbers, W-I-N, Weapon Identification Number. We need to know who is buying our military weapons. Whoever buys a weapon needs, civil or military, needs to register it like we do automobiles. We sell military equipment to both sides of conflicts after fueling the conflict in order to sell more weapons. Who profits? We don't practice prevention in healthcare, only cure, and only for those who can afford to pay for it. We need to promote the concept of nonviolence. It's a whole different consciousness. We have to switch from the war culture to a culture of nonviolence. We humans have two natures, believe it or not. We have the animal nature, and we have the divine spiritual nature. In the animal nature, we misunderstand and distort our most primary function, our sexuality, which partly explains our willingness to kill one another indiscriminately. We do not know how to deal with the primal scream, the very function of how humanity procreates. As Freud put it, we suffer from sexual frustration and dysfunction. In our divine spiritual nature, we have externalized the divine and replaced it with the mythology of religions. The divine is not a being. The divine is internal, inside us, and exists in the recesses of our human consciousness. The divine is within, is personal, and like infinity, is unknown and unknowable. It is not about the hereafter, it's about the here and now. The divine is ethics, morality, caring, kindness, and compassion. Check how we think of the divine as being punitive. Where do we go from here? What hope do we have for the future? When the power of love overcomes the love of power, there will be peace. What change do we need to make? I'm reminded of the story of the Zen master that went up to the hot dog vendor and said, "Make me one with everything." The Zen master gave him a hot dog with everything. The hot dog vendor gave him a hot dog, and the Zen master handed him $20 bill. The vendor put the money in his pocket and went on to wait on other people. And a moment or two later, the Zen master said, "Where's my change?" He said, "Change is within." What change do we need to make? What do we need to promote? I submit the most important change is personal responsibility. We have been dehumanized, creating separation, division, and mean spirit. We need to say, thank you for your service, not to the military, but to farmers that feed us, to teachers that educate us, to first responders that save us, to mothers that are struggling with 2 jobs with young children in a buggy and 1 on each arm. We indiscriminately bomb cultures that are thousands of years old. How? However, I have hope for the future. We can trigger a renaissance. You know, in the past, there were dark ages. I'm sure you've read them in history. But always at the bottom of the dark age is a renaissance. So we're due for a renaissance, and you are the ones that have to trigger it. I believe if we awaken to our higher consciousness, where the divine lives, we can bring the power of love to diminish the love of power. I have faith in our capacity and capability to adapt to a culture of peace and reap the peace benefits. I believe in our animal nature, which allows us to experience emotions and feelings, to enjoy the physical and the sensual. We have an obligation as stewards to care for the earth and humanity and to shepherd nature and the animals. It costs less to care for sentient beings than to kill them. I believe in our divine spiritual nature, where we connect to a higher power that gives us the strength to rehumanize by promoting truth, peace, love, and compassion. I believe in the mystery of life. We come from the earth, and we go back to the earth, which ultimately frees us from the bounds of form and flesh to possibly go on to explore the unknown and the unknowable. Don't fret about it. The future will come. Take care of the now. We as a society, we as Americans, and by the way, North, Central, and South America are all Americans. How arrogant that we declare the entire concept as Americans. We the people, we as a society, need to promote a national referendum to define our goals, our values, and our priorities, to establish values such as do no harm, be of service, cooperate, not compete. Equal does not mean same. Might does not make right. Restorative justice is real justice. We are no more exceptional or superior than any other human beings. We have the rights and the privileges of all humans. This concept needs to be global. We are all one humanity. I have a card, and I'll share anybody who wants one. I have on my all one people on the front of the card. And on the back, do no service, do no harm, be of service, cooperate, not compete. We need to write a mission statement. I know that the Sun people have a mission statement. We need to write a mission statement to create a world without war. War is obsolete, expensive, and self-defeating. We do not inherit the earth to our children. We borrow it from them. What are we leaving to our children? I saw the little baby here, these old souls that are reincarnating to help us because we have been so degraded in society. In conclusion, it's not about being right, it's about what is right. We have to go beyond what we know to change the war culture to a culture of peace. I hope I empowered you to a new way of thinking. Stopping wars and violence is the only thing that will save us from destruction as a human civilization. And I use the word civilization very loosely. I encourage all people globally to take personal responsibility to resist supporting war and promote a culture of nonviolence. It has to go beyond words, to walk lightly upon the earth and to promote the sanctity of life. It becomes a spiritual practice between you and your divine to practice and promote peace and love. In closing, I want to share a little story about the Indian chief who was talking to his grandson. And he said, "Grandson, there are two wolves inside each of us. They are both vying for our attention. The one wolf is bad, is mean, is terribly selfish. The good wolf is good and kind and compassionate and loving." The grandson said, "Grandfather, which wolf wins?" How many of you here think the good wolf wins or the bad wolf wins? The answer is the one you feed. The whole bale.
A little bit at a time.
I'd be glad to field any questions if I have another 5 minutes.
Yusif, how optimistic are you in your head and your heart with your new think and your divine heart that the consciousness of humanity is high enough that we're moving towards these noble truths?
Thank you. I'm the elder here. I don't know if anybody is older than John, but I am. And my whole life, I was born in Palestine. I became displaced on my 12th birthday as a refugee from the Holy Land. And I landed at Ellis Island in the Statue of Liberty. For a 12-year-old shepherd boy who couldn't speak English, I was face to face with the New York skyline. I've always had faith. I always have a feeling that we can split the atom, we can walk on the moon, we sniff the soil on Mars. We are capable as human beings. It's not about spirits and befores and afters. It's about now, right now. I believe we have the capacity as human beings to change the cultures globally. My message is global. It's not just about Americans, but America is the problem, and America is the solution. We have it within us as Americans to make a difference. If you take my card, you'll find my website, yusif.org, and I have a 15-minute video in which I do storytelling about when the FBI came to investigate me for being a terrorist. Yeah, imagine. In 2008, when Obama was first running. And I told them that we are the problem and we are the solution. If Americans put their will into work, into effect, we can help alter the world because we're the aggressors. We have military bases all over the world, hundreds of them. Imagine how much money it costs to support that. And their only mission is to kill. So I have faith, I have hope, but it's waning. It's getting to a point where if we don't begin to make the change, we're going to collapse as a humanity. The earth will exist, but life will not. Thank you.